Yes, guys, hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to the spontaneous FPL fan deadline live stream. Hope you guys are doing well. I thought I'd quickly jump on here just to answer any questions that you may have going into this deadline. It is currently 4:30 UK time. We have 2 hours until that game week 1 deadline. I know there is a lot of content going on right now, loads of live streams, so I appreciate you're probably going to be dipping in and out. So this is just the perfect opportunity. If you're busy on other content streamers and you can't get your answers, this is the place to be right now, as I will answer all of your questions that you want answering for the next half an hour. Now, it's worth noting we're also running live on TikTok as well. So if you see me looking up this way, it is just because I am making eye line with my phone. I am not off in a different direction, so do not worry about that at all. If you can drop a like on the stream, be massively appreciated as always. And I think realistically, let's just get into these questions because there's going to be a lot in here and it is worth getting by. Let me just quickly fire up this as well. And what we're also going to be doing is showing my team. Going to be showing my team and just showing you generally kind of some thoughts about why I've gone from a different direction in them. So give me a second. So I'm just going to bop this on here as well so people know that I'm live on TikTok. Sorry for the absolute carnage of this. A lot of other people are a lot more professional than myself, but it is how we roll, unfortunately, on this channel. Let me just double check. That's all good. Sorry, guys. I am going to come to your questions. I know there's a few of you knocking about already. Give me a second. Logistically, I am woeful at this kind of stuff, but it might make for good content. Okay, this one's set up. We're set up here. Let's go. Cool. Right, let's just get into the questions. Mans, hope you're doing very well. JJ Films talk Foden or Grealish or Richarlison, and Stones or Chilwell. So for me right now, I would go for Foden over Grealish, over Richarlison, as I don't really know what the status is right now on Richarlison, and I personally am going for Chilwell over Stones myself. Liam, don't go any of them for a 6.5 million like Matoma and save $1 million and spend it elsewhere. Yeah, that's fair. I think there's definitely a case for that in that sense. I just think Madison's a little bit of a dodgy one right now. For anyone that is on TikTok right now, I'm going to be doing YouTube for the next half an hour. So if you're on TikTok right now, head over to YouTube, FPL Fan, go check it out. Get your questions in there. We will be on this until 6:30, but I, of course, will be answering your questions over on YouTube for the next half an hour. So get over there, FPL Fan YouTube, ask your questions, and then I'll be answering questions from here for the last hour and a half. Anyone on YouTube right now, that was very weird, I can imagine. So let's just answer some more questions in here. Kane hasn't left yet. I think Kane is going to leave. He's going out to Germany. He's going to be moving to Bayern. It is worth noting. Manny, am I from Bristol? I'm from near Bristol. It is worth noting. Rashford and a 6.5 or Martinelli and Saliba. I'd rather go for Rashford and most likely Mbeumo alongside it. Thoughts on going for March instead of Matoma or Mbeumo? For me, I would much rather go for Mbeumo, then Matoma, and then March. That's the way that I would rate them right now in that sense. Opinion on Douglas Luiz, somebody that would tick along really, really nicely, but realistically not an FPL option for our teams. He is just an easy 5th midfielder if you want to invest that much in that area. What do I think about Alvarez or Foden? Foden for me. I would spend that a little bit more as a midfielder. You can go sideways in other directions. Alvarez is a tricky one at that price point. If he doesn't start week in, week out, you're going to be stuck with him for a little bit longer because you're always going to think he is going to start. Jackson or Watkins? Watkins for me, knowing that you can downgrade to Jackson at any point if you need to. Is Bowen a good differential for game week 1? He is, but I'm not too convinced on West Ham right now. I think they're in a little bit of a tricky spot, so I can't really justify going for the Bowen pick with so many other great options available in the game. Stones or Chilwell? I personally am going for Chilwell myself. And let's get into my team right now. So for those that are on YouTube right now, I'm going to show you my team and how it is looking. For those on TikTok, as I mentioned, I'm going to be answering your questions from 5 p.m. onwards, but obviously we're kind of coinciding the YouTube and TikTok stream together. So if you want your questions answered, get over to my YouTube channel. It is FPL Fan, but obviously stay on this if you just want to hear the general conversation. My team is this one here. For those on YouTube, this looks really weird. This is my team right now. And again, we've got loads of time till the deadline, so we've got plenty of time. But let me talk through my team right now and how I'm thinking. Am I locked? Pretty much locked, unless we get any information regarding maybe Gvardiol starting for Man City. That could change things up. Lots of components. So going for Pickford between the sticks. Anyone that's been watching my streams will know that Anana was a guy that was absolutely locked into my team. However, I have been looking at the fixtures for them, and I'll bring them up on the screen here. Again, this is on YouTube that you guys will be able to see this. Wolves at home, absolutely locked in for a clean sheet, no denying that whatsoever. Then we have Spurs away. I think they conceded that game. I think Spurs defensively are... Wow, that has just happened. Let me sort this out a minute. Oh. Wow, technical difficulty is always a problem right here. Nottingham Forest at home after that. I think realistically that is a clean sheet. But then after that, Arsenal away, Brighton at home. They're not easy fixtures at all. And then we get to Burnley and Crystal Palace. Some favourable fixtures there. But for me, I do feel like, realistically, I would rather go down the route of Pickford and Turner. Now, the reason why I like the Pickford and Turner combination is mainly because of what we are seeing here. If you go for the Pickford-Turner combination, this is what you get. You get Pickford in goal for the first game at home against Fulham. Game week 2, you get Turner at home against Sheffield United. Game week 3, you get Pickford at home against Wolves. Game week 4, you get Pickford away against Sheffield United. Game week 5, you get Turner at home against Burnley. Game week 6, you get Pickford away against Brentford. And game week 7, you get Pickford at home against Luton. You have amazing long-term fixtures for those assets. And realistically, when I'm comparing the two, I can either spend 9.5 million on my goalkeeper. 8.5 million on this goalkeeper combination, or I can go for the combination of 9 million of Onana plus Matt Turner. I want to save 0.5 million at any opportunity I can. And looking at this fixture run, I think this is as good as what Onana can do, if not better. Game week 2, very tricky for Man United. Game week 4, very tricky for Man United. And end of the day, goalkeepers are the least important position in our FPL teams by bar none. The difference between points is just not justifiable of spending more money in your team. So because of that reason, I think absolutely the route I want to go for is Pickford plus Turner. I also like Johnson, it is worth noting. But for me, that combination just gets you a great fixture each and every game week. Now, if Dean Henderson was to sign for Nottingham Forest closer to the deadline, that could cause problems for us. But realistically, I am happy to go down that route. And we are going to wildcard around game week 8 or 9, no doubt about it. So maybe that will be the time to get on Onana then and then. But for me right now, I want to go budget. I want to save money. And this draft that I do have here does have 0.5 million in the bank. Let's get that back up for you guys over on YouTube. And for those on TikTok, again, get over to YouTube, FPL Fan. I'll be answering your questions from 5 p.m. onwards, but we were doing YouTube up until 5 p.m. Right then, rest of the team. Gabriel, Estupiñán, Chilwell starting as a back three. I have had those locked in since day one pretty much, and I'm just so happy with those as a combination. People are asking me, John Stones, why am I not going for John Stones? I think City's fixtures are great. There's no denying it whatsoever, but I'm always excited by attacking fullbacks, and I'm a sucker for them. And Chilwell, for me, is the best of the bunch. Up against Liverpool, Trent, who simply cannot defend in these phases. We've already seen it in pre-season. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for points for Chilwell, even though clean sheet doesn't look great. Now, let me have a sip of this. Now, I do have Destiny Udogie in my team, and the reason being is this. I'm going to get it up on your screens here. It's going to be another fixture combination. Again, as I said, it is a little bit rogue on YouTube right now, but this was a spontaneous one, and hopefully it does help you out. So, why have I got Udogie in my team? Well, the reason being is this. Let's get Spurs into the comparison. And again, those that aren't checking out, Fantasy Football Fix is the GOAT for websites, bar none. Jazz, thank you very much for the... Is that a peach? Bar none. It is by far the best for this kind of stuff, the tools available in the game. So what we're going to do, we're going to compare Spurs. We're going to be looking at Brighton as well. Because the reason I'm saying that is this. Game weeks 1 to 3, there is zero chance that I bench Gabriel, Chilwell, or Estupiñán. Those three are locked in for the opening 3 game weeks. Done. I'm not going to play a back 4 either because the midfielders are so good and the forwards are fantastic. So realistically, my fourth defender is not going to come into the equation until game week 4. And what I really do like about this kind of thought process is Estupiñán actually has some okay fixtures from game week 6 and 7. They have Bournemouth and Aston Villa. Aston Villa is a little bit tricky. So with Udogie, what we have is we'll happily bench him in the opening 3 game weeks, knowing that in game week 4, we can have him away against Burnley, and in game week 5 at home against Sheffield United. I think Udogie is going to be very, very attacking in this Spurs team. Yes, he might not keep the clean sheets, but I really do like him from an attacking fullback perspective. And because of that reason, I think Udogie at 4.5 million is a good asset for our teams if you are going down that route. Now, this could be a 4 million. I could go for Baldock. That could be an option in our teams and just simply have 2 4 million defenders. But I'm a little bit cautious that if an injury was to happen and I didn't want to spend a transfer, I could simply just play Udogie at any point, hoping that he will be a good option for our team. So for me, Udogie is in at 4.5. I think there are better options out there longer term, but for this rotation, it is a good move. And also, it gives us an opportunity to keep a Stupinan if we want to. If Gavardia at Man City suddenly pops off and he is the best 5 million option, I will simply go a Stupinan to Gavardia and get him in game week 3 when we know, obviously, the budget is available at 0.5. I'm just sorting out the charge on this. Do apologise, guys. Yes, okay, we're back. So that is the team there in terms of defence. Moving into midfield, Saka, Martinelli, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and Mbeumo. These guys are in. I've been debating about the Mbeumo situation, but we have had it confirmed that Mbeumo is fit for game week 1 on penalties, long-term great fixtures, talisman in that team. I'm happy to pull the trigger on Mbeumo. Mitoma, I feel like it's just difficult to predict his points. Yes, they have a fantastic home game against Luton, but I'm all in on Mbeumo. And the front two, Haaland and Watkins. I'm going to leave that on your screen here to check out. Those are on YouTube right now. This is going to look a little bit weird because I'm going to show everyone on TikTok how the team's looking. So give me a second. This is going to look a little bit odd. Give me a second here. I'm just going to pop myself off screen a minute, but I'll keep the team up. And now I'm going to come into your questions and we're going to do a massive Q&A. So let me just disappear myself for a second on the screen. And those on TikTok, obviously you can hear me on YouTube here. This is my team going into game week 1. We're going to be answering your questions from 5 p.m. onwards. If you want your questions answered now, head over to YouTube, FPL Fan. Go check it out and I'll answer your questions in the Q&A. But here's how the team's looking. And I will explain it all in a bit, but head over to YouTube to get your questions answered. Right, we're back on YouTube. We back. Right, I'm going to answer your questions now. We're going to fly through these. So please do consider dropping a like on this stream if you are enjoying it. I see we have over 250 in here. If we can get that to 50 likes, that'll be sick. Thank you so much. Right, let's get into the chat. Gakpo, not big on Gakpo personally. I think there's too much rotation in that team. Mbeumo or Archer? Mabama or Archer. Archer could get a move, it is worth noting, but I'm going to go for Mabama myself as I think he could get some game time in that West Ham team to start off. The transfer hasn't been done for Cameron Archer at the time of recording. De Bruyne and Jackson or Salah and Henry. Of those two, I'd actually probably rather go for Salah and Henry. De Bruyne's game time very hard to predict, it is worth noting. Udogie and 0.5 million in the bank or a 5 million City defender. Now naturally the 5 million City defender is going to be better, there's no doubt about it on that one. But I do like the flexibility that Udogie and 0.5 million does, but I wouldn't be confident starting with Udogie in the opening 3 game weeks because the fixtures are a little bit ropey, especially those first 2. So maybe consider just going for the City defenders start off if you are not benching Udogie. Trossard, too much rotation risk for me. I will avoid it myself. Thoughts on Lewis Hall, could be an amazing option, but I want to see that transfer actually be confirmed and him get game time. When we come to wildcard, he could be a phenomenal option when that comes around, but until then, I think Lewis Hall is just one of those we monitor on our watch list. Bruno or Odegaard, I would favour Bruno Fernandes, mainly because he's on penalties. I think he's going to be on penalties, so for that very reason, I would favour Bruno Fernandes. People asking what I would do with the 0.5 million in the bank. The reason why I've got 0.5 million in the bank is just simple flexibility with the team. Now, with my current team right now, my thought process is this. When I look at a team, I think, where would I have to go up to an asset? So let's start with the forwards. Haaland is the most expensive forward, so I can come down to any option in the game. Watkins, there is no forward above Watkins now that Harry Kane has gone that we need to afford. So in the actual forward area, we don't need any money in the bank. That can just sit there, that front 2. Moving into the midfield, Saka is a long-term hold. Rashford is a long-term hold in my mind. I'm not selling those 2 players. Now, Bruno Fernandes, I don't like any of the other 9 millions in the game. I don't like Son. So therefore, I'm only ever going to come down from Bruno Fernandes. In terms of Mbeumo, I'm always going to want a 6.5 million midfielder in the game in my eyes personally. So because of that reason, I think Mbeumo is that price is locked. I don't need to come up from that necessarily. Martinelli is the one that I think I would come down from. I don't think I would go up from. So right now, I'm looking at the midfielders, I'm looking at the forwards. Would I go up from any of those positions right now? The only one I think I would is potentially Martinelli up into Odegaard, or maybe Mbeumo up into a Richarlison. And in terms of the defenders, the only ones that I would consider going up from is into a Man City defender, realistically. So I have 0.5 million in the bank, mainly due to them slight price changes that might happen that require me to make those small changes. I don't think that this team needs $1 million in the bank, because I just don't think it is required. And in terms of goalkeepers, because of the rotation that I'm going for, I'm happy just to simply roll with that in the opening game weeks and then decide what to do later down the line when I wildcard. Maybe it is then the time to go for Onana because he's proven to be a phenomenal option, or simply go for the money invested elsewhere. So that's why I'm not really sticking much money in the bank. 0.5 is plenty for this team. I don't have any premiums that we need to afford with 1-2 million in the bank. Reece James could be a great option, but I much prefer Chilwell right now. He's much more of an attacking option. Trent's still a good option. Yes, I think the big thing about it is Trent has never been a bad option at all. Trent has never, ever been a bad option. But I think it's just what we can get at a cheaper price. At 3 million cheaper, 2.5 million cheaper, and we get some amazing players out there. And because of that reason, I just don't think we can invest in Trent personally. I just wouldn't go down that route myself. Jacob, who doing well. Will Doji start? We are expecting to start at the start of the season, yes. Thoughts on Luis Diaz? I think Luis Diaz is a great option. I really do. I think he's going to get some decent game time. Whether he is an explosive FPL option is the big question right now. That is the thing we need to decide on the game. Salah, I love Salah. I just can't get him in my team. I can't justify it myself right now. Luton 4 million defender, or someone like Trusty. I'm not sure who Trusty is. For me, I think Kabore is a great 4 million option in that Luton defence for us to go for. And again, for those that are watching, if you aren't subscribed, make sure you are. Lots of content coming this season. Stones will play at CDM and Liverpool will destroy Chelsea. Chilwell will not perform. Prediction there from Christopoulos, is it? Great name. Thoughts on Mudryk? I need to see a lot from Mudryk to actually justify him as an FPL option. For now, he is simply not an FPL option at all. Mings or Henry, I'd rather go Henry. I think Mings is a risk with Pau Torres potentially coming into the team. Obviously, a big signing for them. Martinelli and Kanji, or two 6.5 million midfielders. I like the two 6.5 million midfielders, to be honest with you. I think that is a really good route. Martinelli plus Akanji is a very safe pick. I think Akanji's minutes are going to be decent as well. So realistically, I probably would say for you, the big thing for you is who's the defender in your team, because you're comparing a midfielder and a defender to two 6.5 million midfielders. So I would need to know the defender in that situation, as it's a very difficult comparison right now. JJ Films Talk is saying best 7.5 million midfielder. I think at that price range, let's look at just so people can see what the actual midfielders are available at 7.5 if we do it by price, and 7.5 mil. So the 7.5s are Havertz, Luis Diaz, Foden, Grealish, Maddison. Realistically, if I had to rate those right now, I probably would go for Grealish last. I probably have Maddison right up there. I'm a little bit kind of suspect on what Spurs are going to be like without Harry Kane. Foden could be the best of the bunch by far. If I was picking one for game week 1 right now, I think Maddison is the guaranteed minutes pick, and I probably would favour Maddison. But obviously, it's a little bit of a ropey pick if you want to go down that route. Let's put my team back on the screen for you guys. Again, for those that are on YouTube right now, give me a second. For those on YouTube right now, I'm going to be doing this up until around 5 PM UK time, because I'm just conscious there are so many great accounts out there. Oh, thank you for the TikTok update on that. I will check that out and see why that has crashed on there. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I'm conscious there are so many fantastic FPL accounts out there, so I just want to do a quick spontaneous kind of, what's it called? YouTube live to answer your questions for those people that might have not be able to get theirs answered on the more popular streams. This is a good opportunity for you to ask any of those questions on here. And yeah, hopefully I'm helping you out along the way. And if you can drop a like, it'll be very, very kind and much appreciated. Let's check this out a second. Sorry, I was just making sure this is sorted a second. Apologies, guys. This looks really, really poor. Cool. Sorted. For those that came over on the TikTok, I've just ended the TikTok live as it was just really messing up with my internet. So I've cancelled that and I will be on that from 5 p.m. onwards. So for those that are on this YouTube and want to maybe head over to the TikTok later, they can do so as it is a good opportunity. Richarlison over Martinelli, not for me. I want to see how Spurs actually adapt right now without Harry Kane in the team. And for that very reason, I'm going to say not avoid, but I'm personally going to avoid Richarlison. Give it 2 game weeks. We need to remember it's Brentford and Man United opening for Spurs. Tricky old fixtures. Brentford, streetwise team. I think that is the best route to go for. And then we can decide whether Richarlison is a viable move or not for our teams. As realistically, if he does hit the ground running, then with this team that we see on the screens here, my personal one with 0.5 million in the bank, I could then either downgrade Bruno to Richarlison, I could downgrade Martinelli to Richarlison if we need to, or simply upgrade Mbeumo if he doesn't prove to be the option that we were expecting him to be. Eze or Matoma, I currently would have Matoma over Eze personally, just because of that fantastic Luton at home game. Watkins to Pedro and Stones to Trent, definitely a viable move. For me, Watkins has been in since that Gabriel Jesus and Nkunku injury. Guaranteed minutes on penalties. Villa, just such a strong team. I get it. João Pedro, a brilliant option for game week 1. But for me, I would much rather go down the route of having Watkins in my team rather than not, knowing I can downgrade to any other option in the team. HM Football saying Twitter accounts for leaked teams. Okay, so if you're trying to look for leaked information regarding Man City, I know in the past FPL Raptor has been very good for that. I know Let's Talk FPL, very good. And also Team News and Ticks. These are all great accounts. If there was to be a Man City team leak, you couldn't go too far wrong with those accounts out there. Sadiq saying, why Pickford over Onana? Yeah, so it's a really good question. So what I'll do is I'll bring up the fixture rotation for you here. So I have been so bullish on Onana. So first up, let's talk about why I'm a little bit off Onana right now. And the reason being is this. There's absolutely no denying that Man United defence is good. But looking at it here, I think game week 1 locked in for a clean sheet. Game week 3 locked in for a clean sheet. But 2 away against Spurs, I don't think so. 4 away against Arsenal, don't think so either. And 5 at home against Brighton. Very, very tricky game. Brighton can put 3 against any team. Then away against Burnley. Now, I think Burnley are actually going to be a decent outfit this year. So I'm not saying that's a guaranteed clean sheet there either. Then we've got some very good fixtures. 7 at home against Palace. 8 could be favourable against Brentford. And then realistically, 8 and 9 is when we are going to be looking to wildcard most likely because of the international break. And it's very rare that you pick a game week 1 team that actually does pay off long term. Other assets start to emerge. Transfer window shuts. Players move. Players lose their spots. So realistically, I'm only looking for a 7-game week horizon because then the wildcard could get activated. So we only need to keep it for that long. Now, the reason why I've gone for Pickford is this. Pickford plus Matt Turner is a really, really nice combination. You can see that on your screens right now. I have got the the rotation planner from Fantasy Football Fix on our screens right now. And these are the fixtures that you can get if you go for this combination. Pickford at home against, basically, you can see on your screens, the colour in blue is the fixture that you'll have. So you have Pickford at home against Fulham, Turner at home against Sheffield United, Pickford at home against Wolves and Sheffield United away, then Turner at home against Burnley, and then you've got Pickford away against Brentford, at home against Luton, and at home against Bournemouth. Fantastic fixtures. And importantly, we've had a pre-season with Sean Dyche, and Sean Dyche is a king of defensive teams. They're not pretty to watch, but they can get the job done. And I'm thinking with those home games in particular for Everton and the contrast of the Nottingham Forest home games is a really nice long-term option for us to go for. And we need to remember as well, I don't really want to sweat too much about the goalkeepers. Rotating can be stressful, but also there's very little difference between goalkeepers in FPL. It's very rare you have one that just absolutely stands out as the phenomenal option. Onana could be that person, and I'll simply wildcard him into my team later down the line if he needs to come in. Can I ask why you would ever pick Chilwell instead of James when James might be on penalties? Yeah, really good point. Firstly, no confirmation on the James penalties, but it does seem like it is a possible thing, which is great. What I've seen in pre-season, simply Chelsea are doing what a lot of teams are doing. They are playing a back four inverting one into a back three and bombing on the other one, similar to what Aston Villa do under Unai Emery. Chilwell basically had the whole left flank to attack, while James then started to invert into a back three, being more of a tempo controller, possession-based player. We're not seeing the Reece James previous that we saw him bombing down the right, overlapping the winger. So it is worth noting that, and it is kind of something we need to consider when we are looking at the two players. So for me, what I've seen in pre-season, Chilwell is the much more attacking, on corners as well. And for that very reason, I think he is a much better option going into game week 1. Rashford, Odegaard, Luiz, Fernandes and Saka keep or change. Super strong. Can't deny that. It's a great midfield, and a few nice differentials in that in the shape of Luiz, for example. Which 5 million City defender? Realistically, I don't even know who is a 5 million City defender. Let me check him out a minute. I do apologise. I haven't really been as bullish on the Man City defence because I'm worried about rotation. So 5 million price. Kanji, Ake, Laporte, Walker, Gvardiol. For me, all a rotation risk right now. I think a Gvardiol will eventually emerge as the best option. But if I had to pick one right now, it probably would be a Kanji. Seems to be a very, very popular pick for Pep Guardiola. And a Kanji probably would be the pick for me. Jack saying team reveal. I have currently got that on your screens right now, as this is my locked-in team. Unless we get any sort of news between now and the deadline of any sort of injuries or Man City team leaks that really do change the game, then that could be a big factor that we need to consider. But for now, I am really happy with the team that I'm looking at, and I'm not really that fussed about. Goalkeepers. I don't really think that much can happen that goes too far wrong. And kind of to elaborate on that, goalkeepers having really low ceilings is what I'm trying to get at. Some midfielders can get 20 points in one game week. It is so rare for a goalkeeper to get over 10. So I don't really sweat about the goalkeepers, whereas the midfielders, like the Mbeumo versus Mitoma one, that's the one that I'm sweating on, because Mitoma could get a hat-trick against Luton, and Luton could be the new Derby County, and Mbeumo struggles against Spurs. Straight away, we've had a massive swing. For me, what's the worst that's going to happen? A Nana might pick up an 8-pointer, and then we're going to see something like Pickford maybe get a 2 or 3-pointer. The gap, I just don't think it is massive right now. Is De Bruyne fit? Potentially. Right, he's fit. It's just, what is his game time going to be? That is the hard one to judge right now. Am I upgrading to Odegaard? No, I do have the 0.5 million in the bank. And the way I've decided is this in regards to Martinelli and Odegaard. I really, really think Odegaard is the safer pick. However, a couple of caveats to Odegaard. First and foremost, if Havertz plays as the 8, what is that going to do to Odegaard in this team? I don't think we're going to see the Partey Rice double pivot all the time. I think Havertz will play as an 8 from time to time. Does that make Odegaard a bit more of a tempo controller, a bit more kind of refined in that role and not really creative in them key passes? Potentially. What I like is Martinelli in 70 minutes. We know exactly what we're getting. High left, one of the highest players in the team, meaning that he is going to be stretching the team 24/7. So for those 70 minutes, he's going to be a constant goal threat. So I need to compare 70 minutes of Martinelli potentially versus 195 minutes of Odegaard. Yes, I think Odegaard a lot of the time could outscore Martinelli, but Martinelli just has that really explosive ceiling that I want to target. And the joy of this is 0.5 million in the bank if Odegaard hits the ground running and he's clearly being a massive creative force in that team. I could simply pull the trigger and upgrade Martinelli straight away. It's something that I'm not sweating too much about at all. Angel FC, thank you so much for the super chat. It's really, really awesome for you to do that. I didn't have to do it, but thank you so much. Do I pair Haaland with Alvarez or Watkins Hall? Okay, Angel, I'm going to kind of like read that and let me know. Obviously, don't send another super chat. Just put in the comments here. I'll keep an eye out for your name. Exactly what you mean on there. So if it's a case of would I do Haaland with Alvarez or Haaland with Watkins, for me, it's Haaland with Watkins every day of the week. Alvarez could be a phenomenal option. It is worth noting. But for me, you get so many more benefits of Watkins. Guaranteed minutes on penalties and in a very, very good Aston Villa team. And also, if we discover that Alvarez is going to play week in, week out, you can simply downgrade Watkins all the way down to Alvarez. So let me know your thoughts there, mate. Obviously, if I've misread that, please let me know. I will keep an eye out for your name in the chat and I will see what it is saying. Again, guys, thanks so much for the super chat there. Very, very Very generous of you. FPL Hyperdrive, Embuemo or Maddison? For me, it's Embuemo. I need to see a little bit from Spurs, and because they have Brentford and Man United in the opening two, I think that's a fantastic opportunity for us to sit back, see how they get on over this period, and then 3, 4, 5, that could be the time to invest if we need to for our team. So the way I'm looking at it right now is if we see a situation where Martinelli straight away is a big rotation risk for our teams, I can just come off Martinelli, downgrade him into Richarlison or a Maddison. I would not be afraid to do that whatsoever. We may even get a situation where come game week 3, Gabriel Jesus is available. We might use our 2 free transfers, do Watkins to Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli down into a Spurs midfielder. That definitely could be a route, and I could see that happening for sure in FPL. Angel, just making sure your name hasn't popped up again if you kind of popped another one. Oh, okay. Angel, I see your question there. You said, is Lewis Hall better than Udogie? The second question. So I don't think Lewis Hall has actually been registered as a Crystal Palace player right now. So I don't think the transfer has been absolutely confirmed, even though Fabrizio's done his classic here we go. So we will take that with a pinch of salt. What I would say is this. Definitely could be a better option, but unfortunately right now, I just don't think we can take that risk with Lewis Hall. I don't think necessarily we know if he's definitely going to start. So I would much rather go for Udogie. Now, am I saying that Udogie is a better 4.5 million than any others out there? No, it is worth noting. But what I will say, and I've showed this before, for my personal team, I think Udogie is a good 4.5. Game weeks 1 to 3, I always want to play Chilwell, Estupiñán and Gabriel. Let's just say no injuries happen. So because of that reason, I want a defender for game week 4 and 5. And Udogie ticks those boxes with Burnley away and Sheffield United at home. Then after that, I can decide after game week 3, one or two things. Bench Estupiñán, play Udogie, happy days. Or I think to myself, time to sell Estupiñán. Brighton haven't been good defensively, and I can move him out. And Udogie will just sit there once again. And then I might downgrade him to a 4 million. I like having the 4.5 million option just in case I need to fall back on it as a backup. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. What I am going to do, unfortunately, is I'm going to have to wrap it up. Main reason being, there are so many fantastic streams out there. Make sure you do check out some of the great content creators out there. I can see we've got over 330 of you guys in the chat, which is unbelievable. Thank you so much. As I said, I am going to be doing a TikTok live now, which I have already committed to. So if you are following me on TikTok, head over to that. I'll be doing that for the next hour and a half, answering any questions. I just want to say, if you are a regular watcher of this channel, obviously we've been doing it for the last hour and a half, and I'm just really appreciative of everybody who has been tuning into my content. Honestly, I'm blown away by the fact that, have we got to 7k subscribers yet? I think we're close to 7k subscribers. We've just gone past it. Thank you so much for the support. It's been absolutely amazing. I'm going to be doing a video on Sunday, so make sure you stick around for that. And again, if you have any questions, head over to my TikTok, which is coming on right now, and I will be answering questions for the next hour and a half over on there. Later down the line, as the game weeks go on, I'll be getting a bit of a structure and a schedule and how I'm going to be balancing normal game weeks alongside kind of live streams. So hopefully I'll get into a nice little routine. This is a little bit new for me. So thank you so much. Go crash someone else's stream. There's some great ones out there. Please do go check them out. And thank you so much for the super chat, Angel FC, as well. Massively appreciated. Feels a bit surreal getting that. It's awesome. And again, guys, thanks so much. And I'll see you in the next one. If you want your questions answered, head over to my TikTok, FPL fan. Take care. Cheers, guys.